When you live in the middle of the city, it's not always easy to be able to realize your dreams when it comes to fish keeping. A lot of times you're limited by space. And in my situation, being in the middle of San Francisco, I don't have a backyard. Hey fish friends, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Zenzo from Tazawa Tanks. So a little bit of a different video today, and I'm wearing a different microphone because of where I am. I'm outside on my back patio. There is a busy-ish street over here. And even though we're right in the middle of the quarantine shelter-in-place situation, there's still some light to moderate traffic driving by. So I had to change the mic, so hopefully it works out okay and you guys are able to hear me. Also, the pond itself is kind of loud, so I wanted to be able to have some decent audio. But anyway, this is something that I've created that I haven't really shared on this channel except for one other time when I did a live stream out here and then removed that video after 24 hours. And that was quite a while ago. And what I thought I would do is talk a little bit about this system, talk about why I built it, talk about some of the things that we've had going on with it and what I plan to do in the future. So for those of you that don't know, I do keep a lot of different types of fish. I've got a lot of different cichlids. I've been specialized in African cichlids for a long time. I have a lot of brackish water tanks and other freshwater tanks. Altogether, including this, I've got 29 running systems either in my fish room, in my house, or here outside. And one of the fish that people always ask me about as far as kind of my holy grail fish was koi fish. I've never been in a situation where I was able to have koi. Either I didn't have the space or just wasn't the right time in my life to be able to build and construct a koi pond. I finally decided that it was time to just make it happen, regardless of the situation and the circumstances. So I built this system here on my patio. Now, previously I had made videos talking about aquaponic systems. I had a 120-gallon aquaponic system with some goldfish, where I was growing all different types of produce: kale, strawberries, tomatoes, lettuce, different herbs, etc. And I ended up taking that system down and building this system. This system is about 500 gallons. Now I want to say about because it's not exact. It's not the inside swimming area. But basically the main body of this pond, let's just call it a pond for this video's purposes, is about 480 gallons. And then on top of that, I've got the filtration system. So roughly we're about 500 gallons. Now, I used to have that 120-gallon aquaponic system that I made before as a filter of this tank. It was a giant 4-foot by 2-foot by 2-foot basically tub filled with water and media where I was growing all my produce. But that construction wasn't really designed to be suspended above this pond. Ultimately, I had an emergency failure, so I had to quickly construct a new filter system, which I'll talk about here shortly. So anyway, the reason why I built this is I like having a little bit of outdoor reprieve, not having a lot of space. I still want to be able to get outside and play around with some fish outside. I do have my goldfish in here, my shabunkins, my commons, but I also got some koi. Now, initially I got 3 koi, and 2 of them had a disease that I tried to aggressively treat, but ultimately they succumbed to that disease. But I did have one that was healthy and survived and has been flourishing. Now, before you jump into the comments and berate me for having koi in a small-ish type of system, this being only 8 feet long, do realize that this is not a permanent home for the fish. It's going to be permanent as far as my ability to keep this fish, but I've already made arrangements to where when this fish gets to a certain size, I can return this fish to the store and trade it in for some store credit to get some small koi again. That is one option. The other option, and for those of you that have been following me for a while, you know that I have done some work for the public koi pond here in San Francisco. It's at the Japanese Tea Gardens located in Golden Gate Park, which is literally about 2 miles, not even 2 miles, maybe a mile from here. It's about a 5-minute drive just down the hill. So they will also accept donated koi and I've done a lot of work there, a lot of volunteer work there. I've made videos about that before, so I could always rehome it to a giant, huge koi pond, and then just go out and buy some small koi again and raise them up for a year or so. So anyway, I really wanted to have koi. It's been a dream of mine since I was a little kid. When I was young, maybe about 12 years old, I did have a koi fish, and it was, we kept it it was a baby koi. We knew we couldn't keep it, but I wanted it so bad, so we kept it for, in a fish tank for a little bit of time, and then brought it back to the store. So, but I was like, I don't know, 12 years old maybe. But anyway, I've wanted koi all along. It's always been my that fish that I've always wanted, and finally was able to create a situation to where it would be fine for quite a while. I'm going to estimate that I'll probably be able to keep the koi for about 18 months or so and then rehome it. Currently, the koi that I have in there, he's probably about 11 inches or so, good size. So I will definitely be able to keep it for a while and then eventually move it on. Other than the koi in here, I have 9 other fish. We have some common goldfish, essentially like the feeders. I just went when they were super tiny and picked out some pretty looking ones. And I also added some shabunkins in there that do have that kind of koi pattern. Very beautiful, but obviously a lot smaller. And ultimately that would be what would be ideal for this tank. Here in San Francisco, it is pretty moderate as far as temperature. We don't get very many hot days and we don't get very many cold days. It is extremely rare for the temperature to get below 40 degrees, and it is very uncommon for the temperature to get above 80 degrees. So for the most part, it's in the 60s. Sometimes it'll get to be about 70, and that's about it. So no issues as far as temperature control. It's not heated, they're just out here. And as far as filtration, I did want to use a lot of natural filtration. Currently we have it in this tub, which I believe is now 37 gallons. It's filled with media, so I've got lava rock in there and aquaponics clay balls. And I've built a trickle system to where the water pumps up from the pond into the filter, goes through the media and back through the spout, through a bulkhead fitting back into the pond. Now, the old system that I created was kind of, it wasn't bell siphon, but basically what I had is I pumped water up into the system, down to the bottom. There was a PVC rectangle on the bottom with a bunch of holes drilled. That water would fill up, and then the spout was on the top, and then would flow out the top. So that was obviously good for the plants. It did add some more water volume. It did keep all of the media wet. But this trickle-down system is... it still works well, and I think this is going to work out better for me long-term as far as weight and everything like that. For those of you that might be concerned about weight, I did address that. First of all, I did consult Dean's Fisherman was out here. He used to be in construction, and we talked about the weight of the system and the structure here, and he thought it would be fine just leaving it alone. I ended up getting a big beam and put a big beam and some concrete piers underneath to reinforce this area, just so that we don't have any issues should there be any movement of the earth, like an earthquake, etc. So this system's been running since last summer, and it's been fine. I haven't had any issues other than that filter failure. As far as doing water changes, I don't really have to do very many water changes because the filter is so robust. Well, the old filter was. So far, this one has been doing quite well as well. And if I want to drain water, I just siphon water right out, pour it through the floor, and then I can just refill. I do have some plans on growing some more plants. Because we're quarantined right now, I can't really go to the nursery and pick out some tomatoes and strawberries. I don't even know if they're open. They're probably not. And even if they were, I wouldn't do that just because I'm trying to do my part in flattening the curve. So right now I just have this marsh plant that I got last summer. And the root structure for this marsh plant is significant because I just transplanted it in here. So it's doing a tremendous job of sucking up the nitrates that is created by the fish waste. So it has been very healthy, and then once things change, hopefully in the next few weeks, I'll be able to go to the nursery and get some different vegetables. I did have a huge mint population growing. For those of you that are familiar with mint, it grows like weeds. The root structure is almost invasive, And while it did an amazing job of removing all the nitrates from the pond system, it just became too much and too difficult to manage. I'd have to trim it all the time, and it wouldn't allow me to do anything else besides the mint. So I got rid of all the mint, and I'm going to do some other vegetables in here. But otherwise, the fish are super friendly. They will swim right up to the surface and eat out of my hand if I put some pellets in there. The koi fish is not shy. I was thinking about getting a couple more koi just so that, you know, there's like a trio rather than a single, but it's been this way for a few months now, and the fish has been fine, and I just kind of want to leave it alone, grow this one out, rehome it when it gets too large for this system, probably around the, I don't know, 18-inch range, right around there, 18, 20 inches, we'll rehome it, because that way it'll still be small enough for me to catch and safely transport, but and then be safe out in the other pond system. And then maybe when we get new koi fish down the road, I will do a trio of small baby koi again. So anyway, that's about it. Not a whole lot to share. I haven't really shared this on my channel other than that one live stream for a couple of reasons. Mainly because this is kind of my little quiet area to just kind of come outside and get as much sunlight as I can during this time. And I just kind of like to hang out here and just kind of keep this for myself. I'll come out here and drink some tea and sit on this little bench that I built and kind of play with the fish. But anyway, that's about it. Just wanted to share this video with you. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Hopefully you're safe and sound, well supplied, and we will get through this eventually. I know it's very difficult for a lot of you, but we will get through it. So anyway, that's all I had for now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. Catch you on the next one.